Welcome to a Fighter's Chance podcast where we give people in the combat sports world an opportunity to talk about the things worth fighting for. Today's guest is the owner of Impact Dojo, Vlad Gotkis. How are you doing today, Vlad?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a while. For those that don't know, Vlad and I actually went to school together at DePaul University. I'm a glutton for punishment, so I'm actually taking more classes there, but that's okay.
I don't know why you would do that, but that's awesome.
Yeah. So I hear you are running a dojo now. You got your own thing going on. Tell me about that.
So, as we both were kind of working through school, and then we had our internships, and then corporate finance world came together after school. Corporate finance was not for me, even though that's what I went to school for. But I really just wanted to follow my passion, which is teaching and martial arts. Martial arts helped me tremendously in my life through everything. I mean, through overcoming difficulties to getting more confidence, to getting more discipline. It helped me. So I wanted to bring the martial arts to as many kids as I possibly could. And for me to do that, instead of opening up a brick and mortar school where I can attract, let's say even if there are a few thousands of kids that are available in a 15-mile radius, let's say, this way I can expose as many as I can by going directly to them. So what I mean by directly to them is we work with schools. We bring before school, during school, and after school martial arts programming to schools all around the state of Illinois.
Wow, that's really cool because you don't hear that too often. You have your brick and mortar. We know retail stores have kind of transitioned to online. The Amazons of the world have kind of taken out small businesses, but to have a dojo where you're going to them, I mean, I think that kind of expands your clientele a little bit more too, right?
It expands the clientele a little bit more, absolutely. It's a little bit of a different way of looking at it as far as the business model is concerned. I'm not reinventing the wheel. It's not as though there aren't others that are doing what I do. The main difference really is that we specialize in it. So we don't have to worry about bringing in clients into our facility. What we worry about is creating the best possible programming for kids in their respectable schools.
So so if you're focused on kids, what age range are you generally working with?
So everything from 4 years of age all the way through high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then is it mostly, so with the schools, are you doing anything online or is that all physically at the schools?
Everything, well, before COVID, everything was in the schools.
Okay.
After COVID, we completely switched over to virtual online live classes.
How does that, so walk me through that, because with martial arts, it's about technique. You're showing someone, you might have to physically move somebody or get them in the right position. So how do you manage those opportunities or obstacles when you're doing that online?
That's actually a really good question. It's trial and error. Obviously, for me as an instructor, I've been teaching for 22 years, and that was kind of a hard transition because you can't come up, fix a kid's stance, you can't fix their foot or their hand or their just positioning. So just figuring out different angles of showing things, slowing things down, breaking things down a little more, patience, a lot of patience. And like I said, honestly, as you go, it's just trial and error. You see what works, you see what doesn't work. You quite literally look around the room that the kids are using to do their training and see if you can utilize some of the things that you see around their rooms, right?
Right.
So you got to get creative. Some kids have punching bags or various other equipment they can potentially use, right? So you have to make the best of what you got. Martial arts is one of those things. The beauty of it is you can do martial arts in various different ways. It doesn't have to be only with a partner, only in a certain place or facility. You know, that's kind of the cool thing about it, is that you can transition, take some things out, modify others to make it work for kind of our reality, right? So that's what we've been doing.
That sounds awesome. You know, with martial arts, there's, you know, it's blown up over the years. I mean, it's always been big, but I think with the mixed martial arts kind of getting popular way more than it was, let's say, 15 years ago. What made you choose? I guess maybe you can walk through some of the programs that you're doing, because I don't think you're incorporating, based on what I've seen, I don't think you're incorporating mixed martial arts. You're mixing maybe some different types of martial arts.
Yeah, so we're not incorporating. So we can't incorporate anything that has to do with a partner, right? I mean, because
True.
most kids don't have partners right now, right? Or adults, for that matter. Like I can't put somebody to work with others if they're not in the same place.
Right.
So again, it's just a modification of what your curriculum has to be modified a little bit, right? So certain things are just taken out, you know what I mean? Because you just can't teach them. That's just the reality of it, right? I mean, I'm not gonna be able to teach you what I can't teach you, right?
Right.
So that's really the true and honest answer of it, you know.
So the different types of martial arts that you do, or that you train kids with, maybe you talk a little bit about those, because I think you go through a little bit different ones with them.
Yeah, so we do karate, we do kickboxing, boxing, and obviously we do self-defense, but now it's just modified. We do the same thing with adults, so adults are now offered cardio kickboxing online as well. So, you know, again, it's just modified versions. But yeah, karate for the kids, it's karate, kickboxing, boxing, and self-defense.
Okay. And then does this ever transition to like tournaments or anything like that? Or, you know, do you work with kids to kind of go that route?
Absolutely. So a lot of our high school students and junior high students, middle school students participate in tournaments. I don't know if, obviously you might not know about this, but there are actually sports scholarships for martial arts, karate,
awesome.
taekwondo, all of that kind of stuff. So yes, we do obviously have students that choose to go that route. We train them to that level. However, of course, now that has ceased. But hopefully when we go back to normal,
and whatever that looks like.
Yeah, whatever that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, none of my kids are going to Fight Island for UFC, right? But you know, obviously, whatever that looks like, we are going to get back to our tournament ways. So yeah, for sure.
Check the tape. It's you know, maybe let's flash forward 10, 15 years. Maybe there will be a Fight Island. You never know.
Hey, listen, I'm open to it all, man.
That would be pretty cool. You never know where someone's gonna, you know, pick up a sport or an activity and where it's gonna take them. So
Exactly.
That's awesome. So maybe, is it just you training, or do you have a team at Impact Dojo?
So we have a team. We have a team of 7 instructors, and right now, not everybody is right now, because of what's happening, not everybody is working. But yeah, we have 7 instructors that have schools. So we're at 40 different schools. We're at 40 different locations. We have 456 students.
Wow.
Total. We work with a lot of inner city schools, which is kind of one of the things that I'm most proud about. But
tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, so we kicked off Impact Dojo actually in the inner city, and I'm very fortunate to have made a lot of very, very close connections, with individuals that work with inner city youth, and these are the kids that need it the most. Their parents aren't able to send them to a brick and mortar school because brick and mortar schools are very expensive. Even park district programs for some individuals is still very expensive. We have the ability to work with certain organizations that pay for this programming so that the parents don't have to worry about it, right? They can just send their kids to enjoy these classes and to learn something new and to be in a positive environment. So we're just very, very proud of that. That's like our biggest thing right now is to bring this to as many children in the inner city as possible and keep them off the street, basically.
That's awesome. I think with your model too, I think COVID with any big like pandemic or change like this where it kind of changes the world, it's going to be very interesting to see how things operate outside of this. When we go back to that quote unquote new normal,
Right.
do you think the expansion of this online training or coaching would allow you to reach more students outside of the Illinois?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So kind of the proof of concept for us was when we transitioned to virtual, we wanted to see how will our already existing clientele switch over to this, right? Just to see how it would work and if there's possibility to expand. And there was, people that the kids took to it, and it was easy. The kids grow up in technology nowadays, right? They're so kind of immersed with tech that for them the switch was fairly easy. And now we expanded to basically the entire Midwest, right? So right now we're capable of servicing basically the Midwest of the United States, and we're slowly going to integrate ourselves to the entire country. The beauty of this, of virtual, is you can be basically anywhere in the world and learn or teach martial arts. Like I can have a world-class instructor living in Brazil and teaching somebody in Illinois, right? Which is like the beauty of virtual. We obviously didn't have that ability before. So yeah, that from a perspective of expansion, this is great from that standpoint.
Do you think the industry will move more towards that? Or do you think it will ultimately always have to be more face-to-face?
I think purists will not feel the same way as just people that want to learn martial arts. Like for example, I think there's an element that's missing of not being in class with your student, right? I mean, there's, first of all, that interaction is not the same, obviously. I can't come up there and be like, hey, awesome job, give me a high five. Or I can't come up and fix them and make sure that the way that they are forming their punch and their technique, I can't turn them a certain way and show them how to turn that shoulder over, how to turn that hip over, really like lay into a technique, right? So that element I miss, and I'm sure that most instructors miss that as well. But the fitness industry in general is going towards that route, right? As our technology is going to advance, and I think as things become more interactive, it will go that route. I mean, look, we don't have to go that far. Look at things like Peloton, right? I know it's a completely different, workout, and it's a completely different interest, like from the standpoint of it's a different thing, right? Here you're on a bike working out, and this is martial arts, right? But there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people that are doing it, right? And they're doing it at a high level, and it's working for them. So yes, the industry is going to go that way. I think in the next 5 to 10 years, you are going to see a lot more places going away from brick and mortar. Brick and mortar in general is for the past, I would say, even 5 to 10 years to this point, has been not as popular because now people can see that if I can come to you, why would you have to come to me? Type deal. That's it.
That's interesting. So Maybe you can
Don't get me
walk.
wrong. I'm sorry, I'm in trouble. Don't get me wrong. Professionals will still have training facilities. Like you cannot get to a like. There will definitely be individuals that participate in martial arts, whichever one they choose. If they want to get to a really high level where they want to become a champion or whatnot, they have to go and train, right? Like nothing will ever substitute sparring, right? Like you cannot understand distance and movement and all that stuff if you don't spar, right? So it all really is going to depend on the client, right, and the person that's training. If a person wants to get to a certain level, in martial arts and really understand what they're doing, they're going to go to a school, right? If a person just wants to get a great workout and just learn the basics and even the traditional stuff like kata, things like that, that could be taught online. But true combat, true actual combat, you will have to still go to a facility and train with somebody else.
That's interesting. And I know for those that don't know you, I mean, you've had 20 plus years of training yourself. I know you've competed in competitions. Maybe you could talk about some of that sparring and some of that knowledge that you've kind of developed and some of the people that you've trained with to get you to where you are today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I can touch upon my own personal training.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into detail as to like people who I train with because I don't know. I haven't talked to them, so I don't know how much they would want me to disclose or not.
That's okay.
But from the standpoint of competition, nothing will beat. Nothing will be able to beat a session where you have a partner and you're understanding how that person's body moves, how their timing is, how their movement is. I mean, you need to understand what you're doing. Like I can teach you a technique, but for me to truly and fully explain to you how this technique works and how it will be applied in a real life situation, there's nothing better than working with a partner, right? I mean, because I can simulate a situation that I can't do with just a person in front of a camera, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But sparring in general, I mean, basically sparring just puts you in an environment where everything that you have learned, now you're able to apply, right? And without it, you don't fully understand, one, how well are you performing, and two, just the basic understanding of when do you want to use a certain technique, like when is it appropriate, right? Those kind of things. Like I can't teach you angles when you're not in the ring, or not in an octagon, or not in a room, you know what I mean, together, right? I can't teach you close quarter combat or close quarter self-defense if I'm not in close quarters with you, right? Like so those kind of things really is what sparring or partner drills work, right? If you don't have a heavy bag, even like, let's go to things just like mitts or heavy bag, things like that. You won't really know, like I can't work on targeting with you if I don't have mitts, right? And things like that. I can work on your strength, but nothing will really give you that feedback until you hit something, right? Like you hit something, you have a feedback right away of, okay, am I hitting it light? Am I hitting it hard? Am I hitting it wrong? Right? Like if you hit something and you hit it with the wrong part of your fist, or you turn your wrist the wrong way, or you put your arm out the wrong way, or you fully extended those kind of things all come from actually contact, right? You have to contact. Martial arts is a contact sport, man. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where martial arts is a contact sport. So getting back to your previous, your initial question is the industry going? Where is the industry going to go? It really will depend on the client. It really will depend on the person and what they want to do, right? If they want to just get a great workout, and if they have things at home that they can use, obviously there's going to be that side of things. But then if you have that 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kid or if sometimes even younger, if they want to go the route of competition, I mean, the brick and mortar place will still be there. So yeah.
Okay. No, I think it's fascinating just to kind of compare it's ultimately what, like you said, what the client wants, right? What do you want to get out of it? Do you want to learn the basics? Do you want to have a basic level of self-defense, or are you looking to compete at a high level, and that's going to dictate where you go? Your work with kids, I think, is fascinating, and especially in this realm now too, where you have a lot of clients or a lot of customers, as in kids, and you have to interact with them virtually. So how do you, maybe walk me through your setup of, right now you have a class, you've had classes, they're at home, they're not in your physical space with you. How do you interact with them? Is it on a time slot? Like, I'm going to work with Jimmy, I'm going to work with Susie, I'm going to work with them, or is it all at the same time?
So we do have private lessons and we have group lessons.
Okay.
So the way that we have it set up, for example, is we quite literally have a virtual martial arts program. So if you, for example, let's say I had a brick and mortar place, if you had classes 2 days a week, Mondays and Wednesdays at 5:30 in the evening, you would come in, right? So it's the same exact thing here. Some kids do a 1 day a week, some kids do a 2 day a week, some kids do a 3 day a week. They basically register for a certain time slot, a certain day, and then they come in. So our classes range anywhere between, say, 6 kids all the way up. We max it out at 20 kids, and the reason we have a max number of kids that we allow per class is because we still want to be able to fix them and help them, right, and monitor all of them. So is the capability there to have 100 kids in the class? Absolutely. But then it just kind of loses structure, loses that discipline. It loses the fact of the matter is that I can't fix every single kid if I have 100 kids in class. So the quality of the instruction will go down. So that's why we cap it at 20. And we're able to control all the children. We're able to fix them and help them and answer their questions if they have questions. So
are they usually like streaming it probably from like an iPad or something like that? And then
it varies. So we're using Zoom as the program that we broadcast through is Zoom. It varies. We have kids using phones, we have kids using tablets, we have kids using laptops. The funny thing is, what you should ask is, where do the kids train, which is more interesting. And everything from kitchens to basements to rooms, living rooms, so anywhere you can think of in a house where we can keep it as safe as possible, that's where the kids train. A lot of parents ask, well, how much room do they need? Like, what if I live in a small apartment? And I always say, you don't really need too much room to do what we do. Literally, we have children in the tiniest little spots being able to do what we do. So again, it's just because of modifications to to the class.
That's awesome. I'm sure you've seen some interesting backgrounds where kids are.
You have no idea. It's funny because you're noticing you're in people's homes for that 1 hour basically. So you'll see a little sister jumping off the couch, and then all of a sudden there's like a dog flying across the room or something, and it's actually sometimes really funny. But in that way, it kind of gets you closer to your students because you're in kind of their environment. Right. So from one standpoint, there are certain things where you can say, hey, back up to that fireplace. Right. And they know exactly where the fireplace is. Right. Because it's in their house. Right. Or, hey, for this particular stretch, we're going to use your couch on your left hand side or something. So from one standpoint, it's the students are so familiar with their environment that it makes it comfortable for them. So that's actually kind of cool. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, you definitely get a lot more insight of who someone is when you get a little sneak peek into their house and how they
Yeah,
interact.
yeah, yeah. So it's it's very fascinating when the switch from being in front of your students actually in the classroom to virtual and being in front of a camera. The number one question for me was, will I able to convey the personality and the just the message the same exact way as I would in person, right? So that was kind of the hardest transition, is really understanding how to explain things and show things and really be you as a teacher. But now, like, you have to just look at this camera and pretend like they're in front of you, which is, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of
Right.
like a thing to adjust to. But yeah, we're working with it.
That's awesome. How are you tracking? Well, so how long did you go, or at what point did you switch to virtual? So is that why the shutdown happened?
Yeah. So March 23rd, I believe they closed all the schools. By April 1st, we were completely switched over to
Wow.
virtual. Yeah, I mean, so I have a tech team, which is awesome. And Ruben Digital, by the way, if anybody wants to check them out, and rubendigital.com, and they're just wonderful. They were able to literally within I don't know, I think maybe like 4 or 5 days, set everything up, integrate all of our software, and everything that we needed to do, basically to completely switch to online. And it was awesome. It was awesome, and everything works seamlessly right now.
That's awesome. And we don't know when that normal, or if this is the new normal, right? We don't know when that's going to happen because there's talks of going back to school. We don't know if it's going to happen this year, maybe 2021. How are you monitoring? Because I mean, in karate, there's belts, there's progression. As you get better skill set, you increase. How is that been working out for you of managing someone's progress? And then have you had anybody, I guess, belt up or level up while being virtual?
So that's a really, really good question. We have not yet had anybody level up. We're doing it next week. So we're doing it for our first test next week. I know it's been a while. What are we in July? So April, May, June, July. So we've been up for 4 months. Usually we do testing. Usually we used to do testing every 6 months.
Okay.
If the student is ready, right? That was our usual timing. Because of our modification of the curriculum and the fact that it's online, it's a little bit trickier, where we were just not comfortable testing kids because we weren't, their technique had them some work on, right? So we're gonna try our first test next week. This is actually our review week. So we'll see. We're definitely gonna try it, see how that works. We'll see how the kids feel doing a test virtually. So we'll see. I don't know yet. We'll see how it goes.
Walk me through what their test is going to be. Like, what are you testing them on? Are the other students going to be able to see them while they're doing this?
Yeah. So the test is going to be, the test is invitation only, right? Okay. So the students that we feel are ready to test are going to receive a test invitation with a link to the test time and day. They will access that link. There will be approximately 13, maybe 15 students. We're not exactly sure yet, but 13 or 15. They're all going to be together. It's literally going to be like a regular class for them. It's going to look like a regular class for them. And as far as the structure of the test, quite honestly, nothing's going to really change. We're going to call out techniques, and we're going to want to see them, right? We are going to try not to help them, because that's the whole point of the test. We need them to remember this stuff, right? We need them to remember their curriculum. So the structure is going to be basically, show me this. If you know it, great. If you don't know, that's okay. We'll work on it. But yeah, and then obviously, as far as bell presentation is concerned, well, we can't do bell presentations traditionally right now. So for the time being, we are going to be sending them directly to our students if they pass their exam.
That's pretty neat to just keep some normalcy, right? From the student, making that big advancement in their skill set and that accomplishment, and that test not being so out of the ordinary that, like, if we move back in 6 months and they, eventually they get ready for their next test, that it's not completely different. Keeping that consistency is really
yeah, I mean, that's key. I mean, we want to try to make it as simple of a transition for the students as possible, right? I mean, yeah, so yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Vlad, I appreciate you taking the time and walking me through this. It's fascinating, the ups and downs and the challenges that we've all had to face through COVID, but listening to, a business owner like yourself and how you are helping children learn martial arts, and then having this curveball thrown at you and how you're dealing with it is pretty outstanding and pretty cool. I'll have a link in the description so people can come and check out your dojo, and if they're in the Midwest and they're interested in it, your contact information will be there. They can reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I thank you. I have to say, really quickly, this whole COVID thing, from a martial arts perspective, this is what martial arts is all about, right? I mean, you can get knocked down, and all that jazz, but it's how you get up, it's how you persevere. There's nothing that you can't overcome, right? A lot of martial arts schools either went under or are going under because of this thing. And the thing is that there is a way to overcome anything, even this. And if this is the way we as martial artists have to transition for the time being, that's what we have to do, So where there is a will, there is a way, for sure.